Hey, welcome everyone to Scott Schilling Speaks. I'm your host, Scott Schilling. Going to be another great show today because I got an amazing guest. I could go through his CV and I could go through all his accomplishments, and we would use the entire time. So we're not going to do that. Please welcome my friend Don Hobbs. Don, thanks for joining me here on Scott Schilling Speaks.
Thanks, Scott. It's so good to see you. And of course, I always enjoy that, and it's more fun to be on your show. So,
Well, always appreciate our conversations and everything. Give everybody a little bit of background. It's been so thorough, and you've done so much. Just give a little background so we can kind of start the ball rolling.
yeah, we'll start short because, as you said, first of all, I've been around a long time. That means I'm old, and so I've got some things that a lot of things to talk about. I was very fortunate to have been in this kind of training and speaking, personal development industry my whole life, Scott. And I know you know this because we have so many common friends.
Right.
I started my career with Jim Rohn, and I was 18 years old, showed up at one of his seminars, loved. It's funny to hear the word seminar. We don't call them that much anymore, but went to his event and loved him, fell in love with what he said, who he was, and all of that. And through a series of events over the next few months, went to work with him. I was 18. A big gawky 17-year-old came along soon after that, named Tony Robbins. So we got to play together for a good number of years. I ended up being the president of Jim's company back in the 80s, and of course that was super, super rewarding. And of course,
Yeah.
he was not only a mentor, which for anybody who knows his work, you'll know why or what that means. If you don't know his work, look him up. He's very findable on YouTube, very findable in the world. But he was like my father figure. It was like, I was 18 and very impressionable and didn't have a great relationship with my dad. So he was a big thing in my life. And when I left his company, I started a company in the real estate space, which became the largest training company in that space. And I think we might have actually met during that time. I can't remember for sure.
Yeah, I think
Um,
so.
but that went on for a lot of years. And then I've had the good fortune to work with some authors and brilliant business minds through the years, but it's always been around personal development. It's always been around human potential. It's always been around how do we make people see who they really are and perform at a higher level. And I was good because of my good fortune to be in the real estate industry. I got to know Glenn Sanford, who actually has the fastest growing real estate company in history, and he's got a little company called Exp, which we're actually part of. And a few months back, last fall, he got the opportunity to acquire Success Magazine, success.com, all things success. It was kind of a cool brand if you think about it. Who owns
Absolutely.
success.com, right? That's pretty cool. And he invited me to play with him. So since then, I've become the president of Success, and we're having a great time raising up many things in this iconic property. That Success goes back. I was reading it when I was 18, and I mean it goes way before that. It was 1800s, 1897. It's coming up on its 25th year, or 125th year. Sorry,
Yeah,
25th
really.
year would be 25th year would be good, but 125th year is just staggering, right? So that's happening this next year, and so we felt like we were really given a chance to steward this incredible brand worldwide and all of that in the magazine, and then lots of cool things we've been doing with it for the last few months. So I'm sure we can talk about some of that as we get into the conversation. But yeah, it's been a remarkable year or a remarkable life, and all of it's revolved around one thing: human potential and helping people get where they want to go, get their goals, and really see the life that I think we were intended to have. I think God put us here to achieve and to give and to be bigger than we normally play, and sometimes we get to know that. So
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think it's all about maximizing your potential and God-given talents and continuing to stretch. I know my career path started reading "See You at the Top" when I was 17, and
sure.
there was a quote in there by Zig that said, "You can have everything in life you want when you help enough other people get what they want." And
Yep.
hard to believe that a simple quote like that could do so much and set you on a path. And then, but it became my credo for my entire career. But Jim Rohn as well. When we did the testimonial or the video for Jim, back, I think in 2009 with Kyle Wilson and so many
Yeah,
others.
I remember well.
I said, Jim, I want to both thank you and say I'm sorry. Thank you for all the mentorship and everything that I got from you across the years. And I'm sorry for all the quotes of yours I used that I didn't attribute to you, because I didn't realize how much you impacted not only myself, but the entire world. So what a great opportunity to be
Yeah,
there
for
with
sure.
Jim for all those years, for sure.
Well,
Uh,
we were both there you were actually in Dallas. I was in Anaheim when we reported those things for Jim, but pretty remarkable to see this man and all we talk about it all the time, the ripple effect, right?
yeah.
Somebody touches something which just creates the ongoingness. And boy, I'll tell you, that man has touched a lot of people through his lifetime and then beyond, right? He's been gone almost 12 years. And I think he's more popular today, to be honest with you, through social media and all of it. I think he may be very much more popular today than he was when he was alive.
Well,
So I think it's great.
For me, the one single quote was, self-education will make, or formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune.
Man,
right?
good stuff. Yeah.
Still stands to this day, doesn't it? Well, now you're the
So many.
president of Success Magazine, success.com. How cool is that?
It is cool. It's also funny because, and some people will appreciate the synchronicity or the circuitous nature of that, but to know that back long before, of course, we took over, Success had bought Jim Rohn's library and all of his materials. And so I feel like I started there, and here I am all these years later back with, and by the way, some of the material was recorded from those timeframes, the classic stuff that was there, and of course, lots of other things, but we own all that. So I get to work around Jim Rohn stuff even today. And of course, I doubt if there's been many speaking engagements of the thousands and thousands that I've given that have not included lots and lots of Jim Rohn and Jim Rohn quotes and all of that. So it feels it's a big honor, and it feels like that to me. It feels like there's something sacred about the space we're working in, because it feels like we're representing the history of personal growth, and literally all the people that have impacted from the early days. And of course, Zig Ziglar was some of those, but I mean, go back to Napoleon Hill and beyond that, to now the Jamie Kern Limas, and today's modern day, the people who are delivering messages of hope and promise and personal growth, and you can do more and all of that. So it feels like it's just an endless cycle, and I'm grateful to be part of it, for sure.
Well, and quite frankly, I mean, we've been through a time. I finally had the opportunity to get back in front of an audience, and I ask a simple question: by a show of hands, how many of you planned for a worldwide pandemic in your business last year? Nobody raised their hand. I didn't get it. And so we're really back at that time, right, where we fought through some things that are to many people, if not all of us, unprecedented times. And we need that self-motivation, the outside in motivation. We need what Success offers. And so you're actually offering even new certification courses and a variety of different things to keep this ball rolling, right?
Well, again, I was very fortunate because Glenn Sanford's a brilliant thinker. I mean, he's just an amazing executive businessman, huge thinker, and I've been fortunate to be around a couple, but I'd never seen anybody like Glenn. And one of the things that I really was touched by when he called and said, "Hey, this is a thing it's dropped in my lap." And he said, "I really feel like this is something to be stewarded. It's not really about the P&L, although every company has one, and yeah, we're a business and all that, but it's really about how do we extend the reach of all things that were this brand that had not been extended as far as it could have. It had kind of been stuck for a number of years as a magazine, and
Right.
Magazine's great. I mean, it's iconic, and it's a magazine. I mean, it's one of those things where there aren't as many people reading magazines today. It isn't the only way that we can communicate. So we're able to extend it to, of course, all the social media platforms, to extend it to all the online applications, to courses and programs and coaching. And we've actually started a franchise system called Success Space, which is a work from distance. I mean, let's face it, last year if anything, demonstrated we can work from anywhere.
Yeah, sure.
But, you know, kind of a co-work space, and we call it co-work coaching and coffee. And we've actually got Success Cafe inside the front side of a Success co-work space called Success Space. And there's a coach inside each one of those. Those are just getting off the ground now. So we're excited about that. We just did, as you said, started a certification for coaching. So a lot of people, you know, are coaches because they call themselves coaches. That doesn't necessarily make you a coach. That's, you know, it's an interesting thought. And of course,
Exactly.
it's a very sexy appeal because I get to sit in, you know, you almost, I imagine, in your bunny slippers and underwear and make a living, but that's not exactly what coaching is. And there's a lot of skills that go into it. And we have to have that responsibility because we're playing in people's lives. And so we not only have the coaching program for clients, but we have the coaching certification for people who want to be coaches or are already coaches who want to step their game up to that next level. And I was really proud of our team for putting together what has been called by many of those graduates, like the biggest change in coaching that's ever occurred. Like, oh my gosh, you guys have changed the industry forever. And, you know, well, that may or may not be true. I'd like to think it is because that was our intention.
Right.
It's great to have people saying that. And so we're excited about that for sure. And then we've got a community that we're building, the Success Achievers community, which is great. People can find that in our social media. We've got a speakers bureau. And I don't know if we've talked to you, Scott, but there's a, you know, I'm not sure what the qualifications are, how they're figuring out who's going to be in and not, but we've got a speakers bureau, which is super exciting because we represent some of the big talents that are today's, you know, biggest names. And so lots of good stuff. I mean, it feels like it was the time for this entity to get bigger and represent more things. And we've got the thinking, the team, and the backing to make something enormous happen. So I feel really grateful to be part of it.
Yeah, I think that's what's really exciting. You've got such a forward-thinking presence in Glenn and EXP, and really kind of reworking that space as well, right?
Sure. Complete transformation.
Yep. Re-engineering all that, and then you've got Glenn and his vision, and I've always loved. I tremendously respect leadership that values personal development and growing the talent to its optimum. You know, there's so many times where people are, you know, if you're a 70% achiever and you get all 70%, you've done everything you can do, but that's still cool, right? But to have somebody say, you know what, if you feel there's more, if there's something still in the tank, you know, we're gonna put together programs in an organization designed to get the best out of you, the person, so you can live totally fulfilled. Yeah. That's awesome.
Well, you know, Scott,
imagine how could it get better than that, you know?
It really can. I mean, it's just, it's such an honor. You know, something that you said, I mean, this is where people miss the point. Of course, if they're listening to you, watching you, they're probably very aware of it. There's a whole world out there that's not, and that is that it's an inside job. And that if we want to produce more, I mean, Jim Rohn said you can have more than you've got because you can become more than you are. You know, literally, it's a matter of who are we becoming, who are we being, who are we living as, and do we have a different vision? Because we can only see what we can see.
Right.
You know, we can't see further until somebody shows us, right? It's almost like being on a boat on the ocean and all you can see is the horizon. But if you keep moving, there's a new horizon and a new horizon and a new horizon. Most people don't push themselves like that. And so, you know, we want to be part of that. And to your point, and, you know, Glenn's more accolades for Glenn, but Glenn had already become with EXP the biggest client of Success, knowing that he believed, as we do, you and I, that when you change inside, you get more result. And he'd already given the magazine to all of the agents in the company, which is now 60,000 people, as a gift. It was just bi-monthly it came out, and that was because he knew that if we impact the people impact the results. You can't impact the results directly, but through people. And that it's the personal growth that goes on. So you and I both know, and I'll add one piece to that because Rohn had it so right when he said you can have more because you can become more. I actually believe there's another piece to that, which is you can have more when you remember who you are and clear out some of the junk the old beliefs and the things that stop us. We have more potential inside. To your point about what's in the tank, we have much more potential. We're not hitting it because we're not digging in and finding it. We're not seeing who we are. We got lost. I mean, a lot of people have lost their drive. They've lost their way. I mean, listen, whether it was 2008 through 10, whether it was the pandemic, it's really easy to see where people have had the life sucked out of them, and that there's been a nature to what's been going on where we have to now reach down and say, okay, how do I get out of this and into what's possible? And we know, you and I both know, that last year some people had their best year ever.
Right.
And in 2008 through 10, some people had their best years ever.
Right.
And yet there are other people who would go, wow, it was just horrible. And I don't know how I made it and whatever. And I'm not talking about the loss of life. I'm talking about just the people who are here and making choices and decisions about how they're going to move forward. And all of that is happening inside. And that's where we can change it.
Well, I think it's a tremendous point, because the reality is 8 through 10 was not a pleasant time for many people, and it was the first time probably the word pivot was ever used, right? Then it became the most overused word of 2020. But business will never be done the same way it was prior to this pandemic. We have learned so many different ways, gained tremendous efficiencies in so many different things. And so I think that the opportunities for possibility thinking are so big and so new now. I actually had this conversation with somebody earlier today. I said, every time I think I've really thought big and I've really hit it, I realize bigger still exists.
Yeah.
Right. It's
totally.
Always go for the
It's relative. It's relative,
big,
right?
I'm going for bigger, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And so that's what I think is so cool about what you're doing, and taking even a 125-year-old organization or very successful, no pun intended, but an organization like that, and saying there's still more here because we can serve more if we produce more.
Yeah, well, we set an intention to touch the lives of 2 billion people over the next 8 to 10 years, next decade.
Nice.
And I truly believe we can do that. And again, not directly, it's never going to get done directly. And you and I don't touch that many people directly, but indirectly, the ripple effect. I mean, I think we can absolutely touch people in so many ways and keep bringing the very best out. And we're getting a chance to partner with people like you and many of the biggest names in the industry who have come back to success to say, hey, we love your new mission. We love where you're going. We love what's happening. And we want to be part of it. So we've got a lot of people that are kind of joining up and going, let's do this thing. And that feels collaborative because, so often in the personal development space, there's a lot of egos that, have their own message and their own thing. And it's like mine, and this is who I am. And to me, it's like, no, what can we do? Because there's a lot that needs to be done. And we have a chance to really impact humanity for sure. We have the ability to touch people that have never been touched in the past because technology didn't allow it.
Right.
And so the messaging and what we are doing right now has a bigger impact than ever before.
Well, Facebook, 2.8 billion monthly users, LinkedIn, 753 million users. Just look at social media, and that's one of the reasons we launched our disruptive social media platform, is to give people another choice and retain greater quality. It's not necessarily about content and size, but it's interesting because not long ago I was doing a radio show, and I said one of my personal goals that I set many years ago was to positively impact 1 billion or more lives on the planet. And the host said, well, that's, come on, this is just you. I said, so you're telling me Zuckerberg's better than I am? He's touching billions a month. I said, maybe I don't do the same thing. But I said, but here's the other side of it. What if I'm bad at it and I only hit 100 million? What if I'm terrible at it and I hit 10 million? What if I'm awful and I touch 1 million? Would that be okay? And he said, you're really serious about this? And I said, I really am, because what's to keep, like you said, with technology today, right? success is not Success Magazine is not the benchmark anymore of success.com and the corporation, right? The methodology may have modified, but the
Totally.
desire has not. And I think that's really the cool part, is that we can now use technology in such an amazing way. It's
Yeah,
almost unfathomable how scalable it is. I
it
mean,
is.
why can't we
It
touch all
is.
7.5 billion?
I don't know. Let's get on with it. Let's go, man. Let's go. We got some
Well,
stuff to do.
well, it's the same thing. I was on a Zoom call with somebody in Nigeria yesterday. I mean,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Every point in the world at this point is reachable in a different way. Now, not that there aren't some interruptions in your connections and things like that, right? But
Right.
I love the fact that you, as president, are guiding success to so many areas, and also um, lifting up a little bit of the past to bring it to today with some of the people we've talked about, and things like that. I just love the vision. So where are you going to take this thing, Don?
Well, it's gonna be big, and we've got some great leaders in different aspects. And it was kind of fun, Scott, because we actually, and kind of fun and kind of not, but there was that the challenge was lifting all these different pieces and parts off all at the same time. It was like having a 125-year-old startup. Oh, that's right, another startup and another startup and another startup, and all these things lifted at the same time. And it's funny because all the rocket ships are off the ground. I mean, and we say all of them. We got more surprises coming. There's still more cool
Oh,
stuff.
I'm sure. I'm
Uh,
sure.
but they're all off the ground. They're not in orbit yet, so we're not in that easy place where we're in that place where it's still rocket fuel being burned and all of that. But we're really proud of the team and the people that are really making all these things happen, and they're dedicated. What I love is the staff we acquired with the deal, and the people that have joined, they're joining into this mission, and they're joining up with this idea of touching the lives of, that's where their heart is. That's where their brains are. That's where they want to be, is helping change, transform, and uplift millions and millions, billions of people. And because of that, I think we're going to have a great shot. There's some fun things, and of course, we're lifting off a podcast network here in the near future. Won't say exactly the timing on that, but that's coming. We've got several podcasts that have just launched in the last few months, so that's
Well, I know a
exciting.
guy that does one.
Uh, who's that?
This gets turned into a podcast right away. So,
Oh, that's right, exactly. No, for sure. We've got a lot of friends that are, I hope, going to join us in our network, like you. Anyway, but there's so many things that can be done with it, and again, we're just going to keep watching where people ask us to go, because there's lots of needs and lots of possibilities. And there's corporations that need the words. There's lots of influencers today that have audience and need to refine their message and find their voice, and we can help with that. I mean, there's so many things we want to be able to do. The collaborative nature of the way we operate, we want to help people get their messages out. We want to help people touch the world with us, through us, and take us with them. So it goes all directions. We're gonna have a lot of fun with that. And I think the other thing is, of course, we're creating simultaneously this real estate company, which really they're parent company, and we're this little fledgling. I know this 125-year-old fledgling.
125-year-old fledgling.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
nice.
It's like what was the movie where he got younger as he got, or got older as he got younger? Oh,
Uh,
whatever it was. Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
I know which one you're
Uh,
talking about.
um, I think that we've got a chance to touch a lot of people, because that industry has been in turmoil for a long time, and I think right now EXP is giving that world a very different look. And I mean, it's oh my gosh, such an innovative, creative way of giving realtors a future. So we're all about creating, betterment for all the people involved, and everybody we touch. We want to do that. We've got, I don't know if you've seen, I think you have. We've got some avatar worlds that we live in, and we
Yes.
actually own a company called Verbella that is a gaming platform that's been turned into office buildings and office suites and all of that. We have Success World, we have EXP World. And by the way, during the pandemic, it was pretty cool. I know Zoom zoomed, But I will also say we were fortunate because Harvard, I mean, lots of universities that couldn't teach came to us. The NBA couldn't figure out how to do business in New York City, one of the hotbeds of COVID. Lots of things got done, and big corporations are bringing in this work from anywhere. Walk into a space, and we can do business just like we're sitting around conference tables as avatars, having conversations, just as if we were there in the physical form. It's stunning. So
It is.
all that cool stuff is stuff we're doing right now.
Well, you walked me through that. You and Allison walked me through that one time, and I've seen it a couple times since, and it's really it's phenomenal. A little bit mind blowing from time to time. You go, who thinks of this stuff? And so
not me,
no,
not me.
Very cool. But again, I think I want to congratulate you for the people you're assembling within Success, because I think what's interesting is that the speakers and the trainers in the human potential movement, and I think that they're eating their own stuff, right? I mean, they've been talking about it for so long about how they can grow, and they are growing themselves. And so they're, the people who are disseminating the information on how to get bigger are getting bigger, right? They're seeing that there's still another opportunity and another level and a place you can go. And it's interesting. I don't feel my age, because you feel like there's still so much you can do and need to do. And I think that that's kind of cool, that there's so much opportunity still ahead.
Age doesn't matter, race doesn't matter, none of it matters. All of it is based on we are humans with potential we've never tapped. We can do better when we know better, but if we don't know better, we're going to do what we do. And a lot of people don't know how to reach their potential, don't know how to unveil it, don't know what it's costing them to live the smaller life that they've created. I'll tell you one thing, Scott, and I'm sure that I'm looking at the clock and thinking, I don't know how long he wants to talk, but I probably should shut up at some point. One of the things that occurred to me many years ago was that we always talked about it's not how much time you put in, it's not the effort you put in. But I remember seeing a diagram, and when you really look at whether you set small goals or whether you set big goals, or as we call them, big, hairy, audacious goals, right?
That's right.
Whether you set small goals or big, hairy, audacious goals, the time and energy is still time and energy. It's still the same amount of time. Like to be minor successful or Elon Musk successful, to create, a little company or to create a big company, they take the same amount of time.
Right.
The difference in the results is our thinking.
Yes.
And when we begin to understand that when we have people who can support and push up and have us see ourselves for who we really are, and tap into more of what's really possible for us, for each of us, then we start to see that there's no limit except in here. There's no limit.
I totally, what just popped into my head, it's so fun. It's so obscure. One of the speakers, when I was on the Get Motivated stages and we were, doing the circuits and all that, he used to say, okay, just, can you feel your right arm? Reach up as high as you possibly can. Okay, everybody there? Okay, now reach higher. And everybody would reach higher. And he goes, I told you to reach as high as you can the first time.
Right.
And I don't know why that popped into my head, but it just is what you're saying there, right? We still have that opportunity to go so much higher. And I think now that we have the technologies and being able to do this and be able to disseminate these messages so much farther, so much faster, right? And that's why, sometimes people say, well, how many people watch the show live? I don't know. It doesn't bother me one way or the other. It's getting the information and putting it out there, and whomever is supposed to find the information will find the information.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Yep, totally.
Because it really becomes that of who is seeking as opposed to who is providing. You never know what. One of the modules I teach a lot on is high intention, low attachment. A high intention of imparting something great for everybody who listens, and a low attachment as to what that is for either me or for you. I'm not attached to whatever. Let's just keep on putting out good stuff, and somebody's going to go, wow, that's a piece of knowledge that fills a gap over here that I didn't even know I had. Like you
Right.
say, that ripple effect, you know.
If you
So
touch one person, Scott, you and I both know that sometimes it's about that person, right? I've certainly spoken to audiences where, I'm sure there were people touched and all that, but there's somebody that walks up and says, today changed my life. And I mean, that's pretty powerful stuff. And that's not about me, it's about the life, right? It's about that person who something clicked, and that's when it starts to change. You never know what it's going to be, you never know who it's going to be. But I'm grateful for people like you that are putting
well,
great
thank
stuff
you.
out. In this case, giving me a chance to share some of my past and present, and maybe even some future thoughts.
Well, that's what, we need to, we'll have to do this again. And I appreciate your friendship and you're always a plethora of great information, which is a word that no speaker uses. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But no, I just really appreciate everything that you've got going on, because I know EXP is just humming, and my friends who are in that space and part of that organization are just so complimentary. In fact, a little quick story, had a friend called and she said, "Yeah, I just got my real estate license." And I said, well, that's awesome. And she goes, I know it sounds like a a big change for me, but no, the market's so great. And I just found these people, and I think they're okay. And I said, well, can I ask who? And she said, EXP. I said, they're not okay. They're awesome. And she said, what? I said, now everybody, I know some people at some pretty hefty levels in this organization, and they are just an amazing group of people that have a desire to support them and have them grow. And she goes, wow, thank you so much. So just a little, she's so excited about, this new opportunity that's ahead of her. And in fact,
She should be.
I'm
She
going to
should
be
be.
talking to her this afternoon. So I'll say, oh, by the way, I just was talking to the whole training division as well.
Yeah, well, that's great. We've certainly, if anybody has questions about that, they can, they can DM me, and you can put show notes or whatever and give, my contact information for sure.
Sure.
Email is don@success.com. But I really think that, for anybody who's got interest in becoming more, getting, more of their potential, and if they're in the real estate space, oh my gosh, yeah, reach out and let us know how we can help you. I mean, just really, I think that's the biggest thing, Scott. We have a heart for giving, as you do, and anything we can do for your viewers or your listeners, anybody you're touching, we want to be right there with you, touching them. And I, certainly mean that. I don't mean touching them, but touching their lives,
Right.
and
Allowing
yeah,
them to live
not
their
a creepy thing. Not
yeah,
a creepy thing.
allowing them to live their fullest potential and do great. Well, Don, thank you for being here. We're going to have to do another show because there's just way
Let's
more
do
we
it.
can cover. Thank you all for joining me here on Scott Schilling Speaks. Scott Schilling saying, we'll see you again tomorrow, same time.
Thanks,
God
Scott.
bless.
Be well.